Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today we're going to take a look at the new Viseart Soliel La Plage Etendu palette. This is the packaging of it. So we have our classic Etendu where you see the shades, and then the back is where the names are printed as well as paired with the actual shades themselves. Then we have the actual palette, and it's beautiful. All the Etendu palettes have a different graphic design. This is the back. Isn't this just cute? I love the attention to detail. Everything just goes so well together. Let's take a look at the actual shades. And I am really inspired by the packaging of the palette, this graphic design here, as well as beach balls, beach umbrellas. You can see the look that I have is essentially all the colors you might find on a beach ball. Before we get into the actual product and swatches and comparisons with other Viseart Etendu palettes, I do want to talk about the redness that you might have noticed in my eye. So I went to see an ophthalmologist and he told me that it's dry, like my eye is dry, and I just need some time to recover. I didn't want to sit and wait any longer on this new palette, so I'm sitting here to film the video, but I think after this video I'm gonna rest for at least a couple of days until this whole redness subsides. Hopefully I won't need to go back to see him again for another appointment, and this just kind of goes away and we kind of move on. So if you don't see me posting videos, that is the reason why, but I will still be active on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, I will have my handle below. I do post swatches, new makeup updates, and deals that I find online, so you can see all of that there without missing a beat. The Soliel La Plage Etendu palette has a lengthy description, and I think it is so cute. I'm so tempted to read the whole thing to you guys, but I think that might be a bit much. I'll just summarize it quickly and basically say the description is Anastasia and her team, how they talk about the inspiration behind the palette and down to the individual shades. And I'm telling you, these shades are gorgeous. They may not pop in the way that you think of like blazing sun and glistening sand, but there are elements of that very much so. Like this shade here with that orange and kind of tan metallic. This here too is like sort of like a rose gold, but much cooler, and it's really, really beautiful. And on some people it's gonna be, you know, again, your one and done eyeshadow. And then the shades I am crazy about is this blue here called C. I have that on the center of my lid. It's beautiful. And then these two shades here with that yellow undertone. This is called Citronade, and this is Ananas. I have Ananas on my crease. These light pastel shades here, real hit and miss for my skin tone. They're just not gonna show up. Like, a lot of them don't even show up. They're more like for blending out other shades in the crease, or putting like a base before you apply the other shades on top. So Ananas, you definitely see it. You definitely see it. I haven't tried Citronade, but we'll see what that's like when I do some swatches. I will read part of the description of this palette from the website. C'est la vie. The tides have changed in our world. So come set sail with us to our dreamy Soliel La Plage, a chic collection of soft sandy hues with pops of crystalline finishes inspired by a much-loved shade from our Koi palette. Our loyal coterie will recognize some of their desires within Soliel La Plage with a crisp duochrome C blue hue right here. Gorgeous, gorgeous shade. Met with an icy Citronade, our ever so sunny Ananas with our bolder yet ethereal pearly duochrome in Parasol. This shade here, Red. With a laid-back disposition and barefoot pursuits, our Soliel La Plage Etendu palette is a beachy daydream from Anastasia's revelries. Just If you're interested in the description, you can go check it out on viseartparis.com, and it's wonderful. All the descriptions are wonderful. They take you to the place that Anastasia or her team was at when they thought of this palette or the color story. And this description or these types of descriptions are available for all of their palettes. I remember reading descriptions for the other Etendus. This is Paris Love Letter. This is Mincette. I don't have Violette out here with me. It's back there. But yes, if you're interested, I just love the descriptions. Before we get into the hand swatches, I do want to mention that all of these palettes, including Soliel La Plage, is made in the States and has a shelf life of 36 months. Viseart, within my eyeshadow collection, probably has the longest shelf life, 36 months. And the pans, you can actually pop out. And you just put your finger. There's like a little dip in the palette where you can easily take them out. They're magnetized. And you can actually take, a palette of this size and swap out shades, make your own. That's part of the fun of the brand and what they encourage you to do. The pan sizes, worth mentioning too, is it sits between the Petite Pro and the Edit palettes. I don't have an Edit palette. Edit palettes, which is 1 gram, and our Slim Pro 12 pan professional palettes, which are 2 grams of pan. That means these pans are 1.5 grams. And the other types of palettes is from the Petite Fool series. These are also 1.5 grams. So you can take anything from Petite Fool and put them in an Etendu palette packaging, or do it the other way around. You can take anything from here and put it into these smaller packages, and then take them with you on the go as well. So you have many options here to choose from. I think it was really interesting they decided to have this Etendu format. I'm loving it so far. I love the packaging of every single one of them. Getting into the hand swatches, we're going to first start on the top row and then make our way down. Love it, love it. So Citronade is a pale lemon with a matte finish. Use a base tone, mix it in with other tones to create dimension and highlight. Then we have Lumiere, which is a creamy yellow highlight with a deep satin metallic finish. The usage is use all over color or highlight. Add to inner corner and center of lid, top of lid. So it's a lid topper or a highlight shade. Then we have Cove, which is a peachy with a satin metallic finish, and you can use it all over or highlight cheeks and eyes. Then we have Plage, which is beach. It is a neutral nectarine matte finish. It's an all-over color, a base tone, a highlight mixed into yellows to transform tone. Lovely. Moving on to the next row, and the next row is very special. They're all metallics. And I didn't quite use all the shades in this row, but 3 out of the 4 I did in my look today. The shades are buildable, and so as I'm swatching like this, if it looks a little soft, especially with these metallics, they're very buildable. And they're very easy to work with. The shade here is Palmier, soft yellow gold with a satin metallic finish. You can mix with other tones to highlight and to pop their color into deeper hues, or use alone. Then we have C, a soft sea blue with a duochrome finish. Love the shade. It's an all-over color or use as pops of color and eyeliner. So I decided to use as my pop of color on the center of the lid today, but eyeliner sounds wonderful. I'd love to try that. And then I have here this red shade, which is Parasol, red undertone satin with a duochrome finish. It's an all-over color or use as pops of color and eyeliner. I did use the shade as an eyeliner today. And finally we have Sungrown, which is a goldfinch yellow with notes of red duochrome. It can be an all-over color and mixed into matte brown to shift tone depth. I do have this shade on the outer corners. And the last row. Oops, this looks pretty bad. Let me try to even it out. So hopefully you guys can see it's actually very smooth and very buildable. It's not very messy, so speaks to the formula. And Ananas is a bright mustard yellow in matte finish. It's an all-over color and mixed into mattes to shift the tone deeper or add highlight. Bronze Age, perfect bronze nectarine with a satin metallic finish. Can be used on cheeks and eyes to highlight, top of lip to add dimension, all-over color and mix in with mattes. Then we have Raffia, sandy medium neutral brown with a matte finish, base tone, contour, and mix in with other tones to create 8 different looks. And then finally we have Driftwood, warm deep brown with matte finish. Can be used as eyeliner, base tone. Lay other shimmer tones on top of Driftwood to create a deeper bronze look. So this palette has everything that you can think of. It could be your face palette as well. A couple of shades here can be used as highlight. This could give you like a bronzy all over look, and then you could mix mattes with metallics, mix mattes with other shades to either give it more depth, to deepen it, or lighten it. And I love that. I think these descriptions are, first of all, very helpful, but also encourages you to experiment and play around. There is never enough time for a Viseart palette, I feel like. When you're reviewing makeup and you're trying different things all the time, there's just like never enough time to really give the palette justice. So I'm making a more intentional attempt at doing that in the future. Like if I were to travel, I definitely want to take a few of these with me to like play around and try it out. Because the palette right before Soliel La Plage was Paris Love Letter, I think it's fair to hold the two side by side. There might be some similarities here between some of the light metallic shades as well as the lighter mattes. I do think this is much more pink, whereas here you have more orange and slightly warmer tones. And of course you have this like bronzy, deep browns here, which is a totally different vibe from this, you know, deep brown that you have from Love Letter. But I will do some swatch comparisons. I'm going to take, let's see here, I'll take this shade and this one to compare against these two. So I have Charmed, the metallic shade, and Lovelorn, which is the matte. And then I'm gonna put Charmed on the other side. And Lovelorn as well. Charmed is much more pinky peach, and I would say this is warmer in comparison. You could say it's even a little bit more pink than, yeah, it's definitely more sparkly too. The finish is more sparkly, whereas this is more like a metallic you can really put all over your eyes and really blend out. It's very malleable. And then I had to put Plage underneath Lovelorn to see the difference. So to my surprise, Plage is actually brighter and more orange, more peachy than Lovelorn. Lovelorn is more muted, and I would even say has a tinge more like brown to it, whereas Plage has more orange to it. The differences are subtle. I think the first thing you notice is the brightness followed by the slight difference in undertones. Moving on to the Petit Pro Soleil palette, there might be, by name, maybe some similarities in how, you know, maybe these are summer-based color stories, but when I put them side by side, there's a lot of difference between the two. This bronzy shade here is much more coppery and deeper than any metallics found on this palette. The metallics tend to be either very bright, like these here, or they tend to be softer. And the metallics here tend to be very robust, like they're on the deeper side, more grungy, if you will, in comparison to Soliel La Plage. So I won't do any swatches to compare, but you guys can see, you know, these are two, what Viseart calls like summer palettes. Both are beautiful. I do love Soleil. And then I have here the Petit Foule Chocolat palette next to La Plage. Once again, brighter, more summery, beach-like, happier. This one is definitely very rich in tone. And the browns are quite different from each other, and even this shade here that actually is quite orange. Let me show you. Look how much orange undertone there is. And it's not quite similar to anything here. This is more of a red shade that has a little bit of orange, so we won't do some direct comparisons. Well, I've gone through all the Viseart palettes that I have that I think may be similar, but really I think the most similarities that can be drawn from recent release palettes is going to be Love Letter, but even then there's still some nuances that are different from each other. Let's move on to the demo. I'll see you guys after. I'm taking Cove and I'm placing this right here. Then I'm taking the shade C and we're building that towards the middle of the lid, and we're going to move the shade into the crease as well. Then we're going to transition into Sun Grown, placing that onto the outer corners. I'm taking Ananas and I'm blending this into the crease. Using Parasol, I'm going to use that as a liner right above the lash line. I'm going to repeat that on the other eye, put on some concealer foundation, then we'll come back for the rest. I decided not to add anything under the eyes because I feel like this could be a beach look. It certainly stands out, it's colorful, but it's also kind of simple and a little bit effortless. There's nothing under the eyes, and if you were to go in the water, splash around, you could very well still have the eyeshadows on by the end of the day, and you wouldn't be, you know, having anything kind of bleed from under the eyes. So I kind of like how this looks. We're just gonna go in and put some blush now. I have here the Hermes Rose Apricot, and I'm using this brush here to get some shade on. It's very pigmented. I very lightly tapped 3 times, very, very pigmented. I think this is a very nice orangey shade that would complement the yellow and I guess the orange metallic that I have on the outer corners. For lips, I'm going to take Wayne Goss's lip pencil. This is in the shade Vintage Pink, and I'm going to fill my lips in with it. Then taking Westman Atelier's Liquid Lip Balm, I am applying the shade Nunu on top of the lip liner. Then I'm taking Jouer's Power Highlighter. This is in the shade Skinny Dip, and I'm going to add that to the high points of my cheeks. This is the finished look. I think by now some of you may realize that I gave myself a fake tan to pull off this look. I purposely went with a nude lip. I went half a shade deeper with my foundation, used a fairly warm blush to give more color, and then topped it with this highlighter from Jouer. I mean, in case you guys skipped the demo, for those of you, this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. And it's been a while since I've used Jouer's powder products. I love it. I'm amazed. I forget how good it is. Look at this reflective quality. I'm happy with how the look turned out. This, I would say, is probably what the kind of makeup look I might do once we get into summertime, if I actually have more color on my skin. I love this palette, but I say that about pretty much any Viseart palette that I've purchased recently. I just love how the yellow shades, both the light one, Citronade, and this Ananas, this one that I have on my crease, you can see it on my skin. And I think it's really, I mentioned this in the demo, I think it's just really difficult to pull off for a lot of people, the light pastels. And you know, in past conversations with Anastasia, she really goes through a painstaking process to make sure her palettes are very friendly to people of all different kind of skin tones. And I really have yet to hear anybody say about a palette, I can't use this. Like, I can't use this because it just doesn't fit my skin tone. And I have not heard anyone say that. Some shades don't work for me much in certain palettes. They really are like your base shade or your shade to blend out seams, but like, you know, make it look invisible because it blends right into my skin tone. But there's the majority of the shades in all of the palettes are shades that I could wear. And I think this is a very, very good example, a prime example of that. Let me know below what you guys think of this palette. This might be more up your alley if something like Natasha Denona's Circle Local palette's just like way too colorful. I think this one is just so easy to pick up, put a few shades on, play around, get a soft, bright look that's colorful but not, you know, overly taxing to think of. Like, how do I put together a look and not go overboard? This is something I would wear in the daytime, and I'd probably go for maybe that deep bronzy look that we saw in the shade descriptions from earlier in the video. I'll probably try that for the evening. So excited to pick up this palette again, give it another go, and I'm going to miss you guys. It'll be definitely a couple of days until I can get this resolved, but follow me on Instagram, chat me, you guys. Those of you who do talk to me, you know I try my best to answer you and have a conversation. So I'm gonna miss you guys, but hopefully I'll be back soon enough. Hope your week is going well. Take care. See you very, very soon. Bye.